All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has had a good dinner, or if you haven't had dinner, you can have it now. We don't mind. And welcome to yet another event from GDSC Sunway University. And today we'll be presenting to you the Solutions Challenge info session, more specifically the 2022 Solution Challenge info session. All right, so for today's speakers, it'll be myself. I'm Benjamin Uy Junming. I am one of the GDSC Sunway University core team members. And for our second speaker today, we have...
Hi guys, I'm Jessing and I'm also a GDSC Sunway University core team member.
All right. Okay, before we get right into the content of the talk today or the sharing session today, let's do a little bit of housekeeping and, a bit of introduction in case you guys didn't know. So just to let you guys know, Sunway Tech Club is partnered with the Google Developer Student Club program in Sunway University. So what this means is GDSC is not a separate club under Student Life. More so, it is a program under STC. So Sunway Tech Club and GDSC Sunway University are very closely related, and basically we are under the same name, under the same team. And yeah, just to clear out any confusion, so GDSC is not open to, for you guys to join as core team members. You need to be part of Sunway Tech Club in order to do that. And basically, what is GDSC? It's a fancy name, but what is it about? So basically, GDSC for all the chapters throughout the world are university-based community groups for students interested in Google developer technologies. So this is where all of us can come together to grow our knowledge in a peer-to-peer learning environment and build solutions to solve local problems, which is pretty much what the Solutions Challenge is about. All right, speaking about the Solutions Challenge, let's get right into it. So what is the Solution Challenge and what is it all about? Basically, the Solutions Challenge is a mission to solve one of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals using Google technology. Now, I know most of us here are from Sunway University. We are quite familiar what SDGs are because it's, a mission that is really endorsed by Sunway, and it's something that Sunway really believes in. And in case you guys don't know, don't worry. We'll be going through each of the SDGs one by one so that you guys have a clearer understanding of what the SDGs are. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna talk about each of the SDGs one by one and give you a bit of examples of how you can, apply it into, your projects, or how can you apply it into some of the solutions that you can come up with. So the first SDG, no poverty, aims to eradicate every form of extreme poverty, including the lack of food, clean drinking water, and sanitation. So what this means is, if you plan to solve this SDG, your solutions must help people within poverty, may it be helping charities or NGOs, or if you can create solutions to tackle the problem and help these people under the poverty line straight away, then that's pretty perfect as well. And that's something that's very amazing that you'll be doing. All right, the next SDG, SDG 2, Zero Hunger, basically highlights the complex interlinkages between food security, nutrition, rural transformation, and sustainable agriculture. So what happens if you target this SDG? It means that you will be more focused on, eradicating hunger. It's sort of similar to the first part, but it's only focused on, sustainable agriculture so that more food can be get to more people in a more sustainable way. Food doesn't go to waste and more people go to beds with full stomachs. All right, SDG3 is pretty self-explanatory, good health and well-being. Basically, anything you do, whether it's covering physical or even mental health, if you think that you have solutions that can help problems in the world, something that's very widespread throughout the world, everybody can relate to this. If you can target physical and mental health as being one of the key targets that you're going to solve, this is the SDG for you. And the fourth one, something that we're all very familiar with, SDG 4, quality education, basically targets to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning for opportunities for all. So basically, this is what we try to do in Sunway Tech Club, as well as Google Developer Student Student Club, we want to share our knowledge and education with as much people as you can, so that everybody can learn together and promote that sort of lifelong learning mindset and initiative. So yeah, this is something that we all can relate to, and hope you guys can do it too. All right, for SDG 5, gender equality, very self-explanatory as well. So SDG 5 aims to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. So this can be in every sector or every way, shape, or form. If you feel that you can reduce the gap between males and females, whether it be in the within job industry or any other social circles, this is how you're going to do it. Basically, this SDG is for you. And for SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. So SDG 6 aims to ensure the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Basically, I can give you guys the perfect example for you to solve. If you can solve Selangore's water problem, I heard we're going to have water shortages again soon. If you can solve that problem, you will be seen as, a savior to all of us in Selangor. All right. And SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, basically is very self-explanatory as well, something that Sunway and a lot of companies are looking to do now, something towards, sustainable energy, where it be solar powered energy or any form of sustainable and clean energy. If you feel like you have solutions and have ways to make it more accessible and more efficient, then this is the one for you. All right, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. This one is something that is pretty ambitious if you want to target it, but obviously you can do it as well. It basically promotes sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Basically, this is about decent work and economy for everybody, no matter which country you're in. So I think being in developing countries, and Malaysia's not excluded from this, it's hard for some people to, find decent work with a decent pay. And that has been like a very big problem for a lot of people within Malaysia and within a lot of developing countries as well. So if you feel like you have, solutions or ideas which can solve this problem, this is something that's very noble and very amazing for you to do. All right, next, we're almost halfway there. So please bear with me. SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, basically targets to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive, sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Basically, SDG 9 is everything to do with developing and innovating technology in a sustainable way. Because as much as we want to, expand and on the technology we have, it's important to do it in a sustainable way so that we are not harming ourselves or harming the environment in the future. And this is pretty much ideas in order to achieve that goal. And SDG 10 is a culmination of a bunch of SDGs where it's reduce inequalities. Basically, it aims to reduce inequality within and among countries and within societies and between communities. Basically, anything to do with reducing inequality between one person or one party or another. This is the SDG for you. It's something that encompasses a very broad range of topics and a broad range of subjects. So this I can foresee a lot of you guys doing. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. Something that is very prevalent and very obvious to us is something like Sunway. Sunway is trying very hard to be a very smart and sustainable city, and you can see that with the development projects they try to make, the initiatives they try to push, basically aims to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. And I think a lot of cities and a lot of modern cities are trying to move towards this goal. And I think if you have ideas to contribute towards that, this is amazing for you. All right, SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. So SDG 12 aims to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. So this is very much to do with natural resources, especially things like food, things like natural resources and primary sources in general. It's to ensure that all these things are sourced sustainably and consumed sustainably as well. So it also encompasses a very broad range of topics, a broad range of things for you to tackle. And this is the SDG for you. Before I move on, I just want to say, you can stop me at any time if you have any questions about certain of the SDGs. If you want to clear out certain things, feel free to write it in the chat below and I'll attend to it as quick as I can. All right, we're at the final 5 now, and it's gonna take a bit of a while more. Don't worry, guys. All right, SDG 13 is climate change. I think all of us know what this is. All of us are aware of the harms of global warming and climate change and the potential consequences it has on us. And I think every country in the world and every country in the world has communities, has people passionate to solve climate change. And I'm sure some of you here are as well. And yeah, there's a lot of solutions, there's a lot of ideas to change the climate to ensure a better tomorrow for us. And this is one for you. So SDG 14 is for all of you marine biologists out there and people who love fish and whales and dolphins, myself included. Basically, SDG 14 aims to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. So what this means is things like, sustainable fishing and ensuring that oil spill, how can you reduce oil spillages, and all these things are that encompasses resources that are found in the sea. This is the SDG for you. And very similarly, SDG 15 is the same thing as SDG 14, but on the land, like the natural resources we have in rainforests, in the beautiful nature that we have. And I think this is especially prevalent in Malaysia, where we have beautiful rainforests and beautiful nature everywhere. And it's a shame to see some of it being destroyed and torn down. And if you have ideas and if you have initiatives in your head about how you can protect these things that are so dear to us, this is the SDG for you. All right, SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. I didn't really understand this at first, but let me break it down for you guys. So basically, SDG 16 is to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions. So basically what this means is a very, very broad SDG, which encompasses creating a society that is peaceful, strong, and built towards sustainability and inclusivity. So if you have ideas about reforming society in some way or reforming certain areas within the government or the industry, or the private industry, and think you have ways to work with NGOs to build a better community and a better society, this is the SDG for you. It's a very ambitious one alongside SDG 8, but it's something, if you can have ideas for, you're gonna pretty much make it very far in the competition. And last but not least, SDG 17 is partnership for the goals. So for this one, I don't foresee a lot of ideas being put into this, but you can prove us wrong and go ahead for this as well. But SDG 17 is pretty much to strengthen the means and implementation to revitalize global partnership for sustainable development. So basically, it's pretty much what we're doing right now with the Solutions Challenge, is what role can you do to strengthen the partnership between communities to achieve the sustainable development goals? So what can you do as your team in your project to make sure that more people are aware of the sustainable goals and make people more active towards achieving sustainable development? All right, before I end my part of this introduction of the different SDGs, I wanted to make it clear that for the projects that you're going to partake, it can involve multiple SDG goals. So if you feel like your project can solve, reducing inequalities and at the same time, building a better economy, I think that is perfect, and you are definitely encouraged to achieve more than one goals if you have more than one in mind for a project, and maybe it can give you more freedom and more creativity to actually build on something that's very meaningful and very amazing. So feel free to target as many SDGs as you want, but make sure that the ideas that you have are actually going to be meaningful towards achieving the SDGs that you set for yourself. Because if you focus on one and do a really good job as well, that is amazing already. So yeah, that's it for my part for this introduction. I'll pass it to Jasin to talk about the rest of the content.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So I'm sure all of you know more about the SDGs, which are like the main part of the solution challenge. So now I will talk more about like the information of the solution challenge. So the first thing I'm sure that all of you are interested and like most attracted is the prizes, right? So for the top 50 teams, they will be going to get like customized mentorship from Googlers and also experts to take on the solution to the next level. Means that maybe they will propose their solution to the experts, and they will definitely give you like suggestions on how you can improve. And additionally, you will get a t-shirt and also a certificate which will be mailed to you. So moving on, after receiving additional mentorships on top of the previous mentorship mentioned, the top 10 finalists will be going to showcase and demo their projects live during demo day on YouTube. So yeah, you will be definitely showing your project and your solution to the whole world, especially like those Googlers and developers. So Google will be also creating a blog post, and there's going to be some swag delivered to you. So for the contest finalists, which means is the team ranging from number 4 to number 10 of the top 10 teams who did not make it to the top 3 winners, you'll basically be getting a cash prize of $1,000 per student. Since there can be 4 students per team, so that wouldn't be more than 4,000 per team. So maybe your team has 2 persons, so you will get 2,000 per team. For the top 3 winners, they will be getting $3,000 each. And as I mentioned, you can have up to 4 persons in your team, so it wouldn't exceed more than $12,000 per team. And the team's project will be also featured on the Google developers blog. And it's such an like honorable thing because your solution and your project that you built like for months and months will be like featured to the whole world, and everybody is able like to look through your project and your solution. So after you know about the prizes, it's important to know how should you like complete your solution and like get a better project based on the judging criteria. So let's break it into 2 parts, which is the impact and the technology. So the impact will take up 60 points, whereas technology takes up 40. So let's look at the first thing that they mentioned. So does the entry establish a clear challenge focused on one or more of the UN SDG goals? And is it explained in a clear manner with specific SDG targets that they are looking to solve for? So one thing is to make sure that you are solving for a specific like the goals, and make it clear that you are solving for that goal. So after you focus on that one, only try to expand like to a second goal, like what Ben mentioned. Maybe you can focus on the equalities first and only try to expand towards like building the economy. So the second one is how effectively does the solution address the challenge identified by your team? So for example, you are creating an app to help the elderly to learn new languages, but then maybe the buttons and the interfaces are too complicated, or maybe the level of the languages provided are too deep. So it might not be so effective because, as you know, elderlies, they might need like easier interfaces and buttons for them to understand. So try to discuss, like deep down, what are the challenges related to the goals that your team chose, and think how you can solve it effectively from like all perspectives. So the third one is Google would like to know, is there a plan for your project or your solution to like take it further on? So is there anything that you can do, like, or would you do after the competition, and like when the competition is over, they would like to see like what's next? So are you planning to add any new features, or are you thinking about scaling it? So if you are developing a web app, maybe you would consider creating a mobile version of it. And the last thing is user feedback is really, really important to the project development process. And especially if you are making your project or a solution into a product in the future, eventually user feedback is really, really critical. So do get some feedback from users and let us know what you do based on the feedback from your users. Maybe you can make some changes based on their comments. So by gathering and analyzing the feedbacks, you can also improve the project and allow you to discover mistakes that you did not realize exist. But since it's COVID right now, don't go in person, and maybe you can maybe have some video call or some phone call with your friends, your family, and just walk them through your project and get some feedback from them. So moving on to the technology part. Google really want to understand what the technology or what the Google products you use. So they have mentioned that you have to use at least one Google product in your project. So the judges will be looking at how you implemented and incorporated those different components to solve the solution, and you are also asked us to make a demo video. So there's a lot of demo videos online, and we'll be sharing the link later. So if you want to get some inspiration, do go through the YouTube playlist, including the blog post last year. So in regards to think about why the second criteria matters, which is has the team clearly explain what Google technology they use, why, and included guidance on how to run their code. So this is because Google is trying to bridge the gap between theory and competence. So something that's very important in your mind that you should take note of is being equipped for the tech industry. So you might be very good in coding on your own, but do you actually know how to share it with your fellow partners or teach your customers or even your colleagues from the same department? So by including the guidance part, you can allow the judges, which includes the Googlers, to go through your solution efficiently and give you efficient feedback, especially when you enter the top 50 finalists. So when you share your projects in a public repository, make sure that you list down how people should set up your application for your test run, especially the steps you should always list down in the README file. So in the demo video that I mentioned, you'll basically be walking through how the user would interact with the solution. So as we've been talking about all of these different Google developer products, there's also these cool resources that you can have at your fingertips. But you always have to explain why did you pick that one technology and why is it the best for your project. So maybe you pick Android over Flutter. So you should always explain like why did you actually pick Android, like what is the differences between Android and Flutter, or why did you choose maybe Flutter over PWA. So yeah, always try to explain it clearly so that the Googlers will understand. So the last one is, has the team made effective public and technical decisions? So as I said just now, remember to explain clearly like why did you choose that technology. So moving on, let's look at timeline, because you have to know like what should you do in the next few months, right? So in the next few months, you'll be learning together with your community. So what's the difference between registration and submission? Because you can see during January 11, we have the registration open, and during the March 15, we have the submissions open. So for registration, it basically like they ask you to fill out the form, and by filling up that form, Google will start inviting you to any events or emailing you with any updates or of the event or of the challenge, and also might be like providing you with some resources. So we encourage like each of your teammates to register so that you will get like every resources that they will send out. So from 15 March to 31st of March, that's the time where you will be starting to submitting your project or your solution. And after the submission closes, a team of Google software engineers will be reviewing your projects, which will happen in maybe around April or mid-April. And then after that, they will get down to the top 50 globally, and Google will be going to announce that by putting it on their website. And those top 50 teams will get mentorship during the mentorship phase as you can see in the timeline. So you will definitely get some more help to improve your projects. And after getting the mentorship, you will have to submit your projects at the end of May, which is the final solution submission. And then the Googlers will review them again and going to announce and get down to the top 10 teams during mid-June. So as I said previously, Google will be writing a blog post about those 10 projects. And then they are going to be announcing the top 3 winners live at the demo day. I think it will be on the 28th of July on a Thursday. So all of the top 10 teams will get a chance to demo their project. So at the end, the team of judges will be, after they choose the top 3 winners, it will be announced live on YouTube. And there's another thing called the People's Choice Award, which was similar to last year. So they will have it again. So just try your best to get into the top 50 phase, because I'm sure it's a global challenge. So it might be a bit challenging, but just try your best and do your best in your solution. So let's look at a more clearer timeline. So at first, you have to get started by joining a student club, and I'm sure most of you are part of the GDSC Sunway University. And after that, you register using the form, and later I will be showing you the website, and you can form a team and then start to select the UN SDG that you are interested in. And moving on, going to the design and building phase, the first step is you always identify the solution based on the SDG. So after you have the solution, you learn, and maybe if you have experience, you don't have to learn, but if you are still new, you learn and you build and design the front end and also the back end technology. And after building, test your solution and iterate the whole process again. And after everything is done, you submit your project. But remember, not only a project, you have to record a demo video with your teammates, explaining and walking through your apps, and submit it by 31st of March. And after that, it will be just going to the top 50 teams as I explained just now. So feel free to like ask any questions in the chat if you have. So moving on, here's some overview and tutorial videos, and Daniel will be sharing some of the links of the videos. So it's quite useful because you can have a look at the past solution challenge demo day, which was hosted live on YouTube last year, 2021. So they showcase the top 10 winners and also their solutions. So you can always get some inspiration from the teams. And if you have no idea how to start now, definitely go through their videos and I'm sure you will have an idea. So there's, if you look at the Google Developers YouTube channel, you can look through their videos and they might also teach you like how to brainstorm ideas with your teammate, how to identify a problem, how to identify a solution, and how to design a technology and even the interface. So it will be quite really useful resources for you. So you can also go through the blog post posted by Erica, which was the global program manager of GDSC, and she even included some of the demo days videos with descriptions. So I really encourage you to take a look at some of the demos, and maybe you can like start soon on your own project. But remember, don't try to copy their project and try to build your own project. Okay, so as you know, Google always provide resources, right? So this is one of the resources provided by Google, which is the Google Dev Library. So this is actually prepared by people from the Google developers community around the world. And they actually put, like place some of their code up here, and also maybe their projects that they built in the past. So this is another resources that you can take a look, and it's basically like connected to their GitHub. Okay, so moving on this, the design sprint kit was one of the method that was suggested by Google that you can use while building your solution. So a design sprint is a fast-paced, agile approach to produce a design. So essentially, it's a 5-day process that allows a multidisciplinary team to develop and test new ideas using a series of highly effective designing exercises. So as you can see, the first step is to understand everything. When you start everything, you must always try to understand by mapping out the problem, which is stated that you have to have the problem related to the UN SDGs, and then pick an area which is very important to you to focus. And after you have the problem and you understand fully about it, start to ideate and like define the problem by maybe you can sketching out the solutions or try to think about what are possible ways to solve the problem. And then next is to decide. So after you have like a list of solutions with your teammates, you'll have to have a deep down discussion and make a decision so that you all will know what is the best solution to the problem you all decided. And the next step is prototype. So as you know, prototype, you have to do your wireframe or your storyboard. So you can use any prototyping tool that you are like comfortable with. And the last step is always user testing or validation. So get feedback from like your friends or any users, or just try to know more about your app and what can be improved. Okay, so moving on, so this is something shared by Carl during the global kickoff event hosted by Google developers. And I really find it quite useful because it's quite relatable on how we can actually plan a project with these 4 easy steps to success. So first off, you need to come up with your idea. As just now, I think it's quite similar to the design sprint kit also, but it's a bit different. So you have to find your team, which consists of a maximum of 4, but more than 1. Then you have to identify a problem to solve. And this is where you start picking your end goals that you want to solve. Next, you start the brainstorming session with your teammate on how you are going to solve that issue in your community. So if you want to have it applied to more than one goal, you can remember, like what Ben said, you can apply to more than one, but remember, try to focus on one first. So from this idea phase, you move on to the prototype phase. And while prototyping, you are not actually like starting to code yet, but in this phase, this is where you are designing your project on paper. So you are going to do a wire diagram or wireframing, and even like testing it, like using the prototype with your friends or your teammates, or maybe even your lecturers. So share with them your problem that you are going to solve, and make sure they also think that this is a problem that is very impactful in your community. So try to do something that resonates with your local community, like what Ben mentioned about the Klang Valley, the water problem, right? So try to find a problem that like really resonates to you. So moving on to the build and test phase, this is where you start to pick your tech stack. So if you are going to build on cloud, and you want to have a big project hosted on a cloud, you can always go for Google Cloud, or maybe you are building an app. Should you use Android or Flutter? So there's a lot of different tools provided, but do take the time to discuss and figure out what is the best tech stack that suits your project. And this is when you start to code. And when you are done building and testing your code, remember to test it a long while, and don't just build it until the end, only start testing it. So you build test like alternatively. So you can also make sure that you are staying true to your idea and also your prototype, so you won't like go too far away from your idea. So in the last step, when you deploy, that's when you submit your project. But one thing that you should know in the software and the tech world, a project is never done, like never fully done. So even you can see that iOS is constantly updating and having new features, right? Everything is evolving, and nobody will say that something is fully done. So even though you are submitting your project on the March 21st, so it's just a deadline. But one of the key things to remember is make sure that you have a future goal for your solution or your project. So when you submit, always let the judges know that there's a future for a project, and they are interested to learn more about like what you can do in the future. So it's okay to not have like 100% like everything done by 31st March. You can always write down like what you would like to add in the like any features you want to add on in the future. So moving on, let's go more to the technology side. So here is a list of the Google product overview, but since like as I mentioned, you can just maybe include one, or you can include more than one, but at least one Google product in your solution or your project. So okay, let's kick off with TensorFlow. I'm sure if you are like familiar in doing ML, I'm sure you have heard of TensorFlow. So TensorFlow is a very beginner friendly platform, and it is also super advanced. So if you haven't used TensorFlow yet, it's very easy to get started with, but if you have been using it for a time, you will find out that it's very powerful. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with machine learning, such as maybe building, deploying, or supporting your ML models and creating pipelines. So if you don't really know about machine learning or Python, there's still TensorFlow.js for JavaScript. So you can apply TensorFlow to your websites. There's also TF Lite, which is what you can incorporate to your Flutter and Android projects. So that's something that the past participants mentioned, that TensorFlow is one of the open source tools that they use to perform supervised learning for detection. But I'm not sure whether can you have any project related to detection and also like related to the SDGs, but just try your best. And they also mentioned that they choose to use TensorFlow because it is easy to build neural networks using it. So it has a comprehensive, flexible ecosystem of tools, libraries, and like community resources that let us like to push the state of art in ML, and also helps developers to easily build and deploy ML powered applications. So as you know, TensorFlow is like highly related to like ML. So Daniel will be sending a link for the learning resources in the chat for you to like learn more about TensorFlow. So next up, I think this should be a very familiar product to all of you out there, Google Cloud. So one big reason to choose this is due to the global infrastructure and also the sustainability. Google Cloud has everything you need to build your project out there securely. So relating back to the theme of the 2022 Solution Challenge, which requires your solution to be related to at least one UN use. Sorry, okay. Google Cloud is like the only major. Okay, let me mute. Okay, so Google Cloud is the only major cloud provider that runs on 100% renewable energy, and I mentioned most of you don't know it, right? So you can also use that as part of your methodology for why you choose Google Cloud and how you are going to incorporate it to the cloud. So as you know, your project will be running on Google Cloud, so it is actually running on renewable energy. So that's another great reason that you can like help Google. So within Google Cloud, there's over 100 different products to pick from. There is like different kinds of databases you have. So you have SQL style, maybe any other databases. You have non-SQL, serverless functionality with App Engine, and there's also cloud machine learning where you can do IoT projects, and also there's different operations. So there's tons of different tools that is available within Google Cloud. So the GCP, like that's one thing that the past participant mentioned, that GCP allows the apps to be 100% deployable on the cloud. And with that vast features available that I mentioned about the 100 products to pick from, GCP allows everyone to be ready for every stage of deployment, ultimately worldwide deployment and multiple regions in multiple countries. So it's really, really powerful because you can really deploy it at anywhere. So Daniel will be also sending a link to the resources in the chat. So moving on, we are going to Firebase. So this is the third technology that I'm going to mention. So all of the tools and the infrastructure that you need to build a better web and mobile apps are all here in Firebase. So there are like free CDN hosting, and it's a global static hosting site that is totally free. You don't have to pay any plan for all of this. So it's basically a free web hosting. And it has two different databases, and both are NoSQL. So you have one that's more of a JSON storage, that you have another one, which is document collection style, but they are both real-time databases. So as your users are interacting with each other within your app, it's real-time. And that's like also one of the best authentication services. So whenever you are building a product that needs a login, Firebase authentication is what you should try out. It's so easy to add and so easy to implement, and it's back on top of the Google secure login part. And additionally, it's not just Google login that you can use. You can also use your Apple login or maybe Windows Live login. So another thing is that there is Firebase machine learning, which is built on top of TensorFlow. So, but it's part of Firebase that you can add into your project a lot. But if you would like to learn more about Firebase, like what you can do with Firebase, so you can always visit the link that Daniel will be sending for the resources. So the past participant also mentioned that they love Firebase because of its easiness and the scalability, and also the approaches that they can do. It's smooth, fast, and amazing. And it made them to say goodbye to SQL and move towards to like the NoSQL database, as it's more robust, easy to use, and powerful. So moving on to PWA. So this was one thing that most of our core team member like did not know about it. So PWA is a short form for Progressive Web Apps. So this is a web application that acts totally like a mobile app on your phone or your device. So it is a website being coded using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with certain changes to make it progressive. And after making it progressive, by implementing the features that makes it progressive, it will be very similar to an app on a mobile phone, but actually it is still a website. So for example, maybe you are using Android. So sometimes when you access like certain websites, they will ask you, do you want to download the website onto your phone? So after you download it, you can actually access the website using your browser. So it feels like an app. So in areas where maybe you have limited connectivity, or maybe your phone has limited storage, that you sometimes maybe like there's app you don't want to use already and you want to delete it. So if you design your app with PWA, you don't have to worry about the problem of like people deleting your app, because when you design it using PWA, it is very, very small, but it still acts like a real app. So it's basically the same exact code base, which means that you just have to use a single code base to build your website, and which also acts like an app on your phone. So you have also the native capabilities where you can utilize camera or Bluetooth. And there's also a lot of like different functionalities that you can do with PWA. So another awesome selling point with PWA is, since it is ultimately a web app, you have like unlimited resources, and anybody who can access to internet, they have access to your app. And whereas if you maybe only build on an Android app, so only Android devices can access the app. And if you only build an iOS app, only users of iOS can like use your app. So another thing is that if you build a PWA and you are familiar with web technologies, anybody in the world, maybe they are using a desktop or mobile or tablet, all of them can access your app as long as they have access to internet. So I'm sure most of you are like maybe still new to PWA, so do try to go through the learning resources and you'll find out like how powerful is it. So moving to the second last, it's Android. So I'm sure like, okay, this is like the most known among all of you. So if you build an app using Android, you are actually like maybe reaching 2.5 billion devices when you are using Android. So if you are wanting like to impact your local community and Android is the dominant operating system in your community, that's the perfect one to go for, because usually building a native app does give you extra capabilities, and it usually gives people like a high quality native app feel. So you can always optimize for everything. And usually people say that they are optimizing for building game, but you can also actually like optimize it for like finance tools or like productivity. So also with Android, there's a dedicated, the Google Play Store, I'm sure all of you know it. So where once you launch your application, you can have it show up on Google Play Store. So that way anybody in the world can download it. So the participants once said, developing an Android app from Android Studio is so easy and enjoyable. Android Studio's new features include Flash Run and constraint layout, help them to build their app faster, easier, and better. So they developed their app with the aid of like the Google Code Labs, which are so useful and easy to follow. So I'm sure if you have done your like final year project or any degree assignment, I'm sure some of you might have already touched this. So yeah, do go and find out more about it from the learning resources. So moving on to the last one, Flutter. So Flutter is another amazing product that you will have the ability to build, test, and deploy beautiful mobile, web, and desktop apps, including embedded apps. So this is where you take your single code base and you can build an Android or an iOS app at the same time. So unlike Android, you only can build Android app, right? But for Flutter, you can build for both Android and iOS app. So it does produce a native code, but you are actually doing it from a single code base, and you are writing it in Dart, which is a language that Google created a few years back. So Flutter is built on top of the Dart engine, where you are able to use that single code base to generate both the Android and iOS native apps. So if you are focused on building something that people are only going to run on their laptops, Flutter is a perfect choice for that, because you can build a desktop app from the single code base, and then eventually when you want to expand your app, you can launch it on like Android and iOS, but you are still using the same code, so you don't have to like change the infrastructure, or you don't have to change the back end or anything. It's all the same thing. So it is now considered stable and is ready for all of those like web or any embedded like devices. So but then for web, maybe it's still not like using the latest web technologies, but and maybe it doesn't have like all of the latest web APIs, but it's still not bad like for building web apps, and it still makes a great website. So instead of compiling like the whole app that you have to do in Android, so when you are doing like small changes, you can actually like look at the changes easily using the hot reload features. Like maybe you are adding a button and you want to see whether does it looks good, you can always use like the hot reload feature. So the past participants said that Flutter really helped them to become more productive, and it helped them to build these apps with less code and less worrying about the basic features. And they also mentioned that the hot reload features really save a lot of their time, because if you have used Android, you will know that when you make any changes, you have to like compile the whole thing again, which will like take up much of the time. So remember to go through the learning resources and learn more about Flutter. Okay, so that's the end of like all of the technology of the like the Google products that we will suggest you to use. So let's look a bit of the frequently asked questions. So as Ben mentioned, you must solve the problem, like at least one of it should be like targeting the SDGs. So maybe one or two should be fine. So but try don't to like have your focus on like 4 or 5, because you can't really focus on like maybe solving like one SDG. So the second thing is that can one student or team submit with multiple submission? So the answer is no, because one person can only like submit one project. So if you have contributed like to your friend project, so I'm sorry, you only can put your name in either one project. So do you have to like join any the GDSC to participate in the challenge? So the answer is yes. You have to join like at least one GDSC like in any university. So I'm sure that most of you are from Sunway University. So do join the GDSC in our chapter. And Daniel will be sending the link into the chat. So you just click into the link and just click on join, and yeah, so you're a member already. And you will be receiving like maybe emails from in the future about if we have any events going on. So there's also some questions that I have seen in the past. So they said they're new to coding and they are like very, very beginner. So can they still take part? So I think the Googlers, they mentioned that there are like a ton of people that actually like maybe have like very basic knowledge about coding. But if you are really, really passionate and really interested and you want to engage in like giving your thoughts or your solution, try to find teammates that have like experience already, so they can always help you in like the technology side, and you can always like give out your ideas on the solution, and you will always like work together using your teamwork skills. So I think that's all for the usually like what are the questions that are usually used. Oh yeah, another thing is that it's like mandatory to use at least one Google product. So if you have any third party any other things that you would like to use, it's fine, but must at least include one Google product. So we'll be going on to the Q&A session. Daniel will be sending the link to the Slido. So you can click into the link, or maybe go to slido.com and enter the code, or just scan the QR code. Okay, let me go to Slido first. Okay, you can either scan the QR code on the screen or use the code 479605. How can we find teammates? Okay, this is a good question. So if you have gone through the email that we sent, we'll be having a networking session at the like after everything ends. So we'll be giving you the chance like to find teammates. So yeah, that's a good chance for you to find someone who maybe have the same interest, or maybe you are interested in solving the same like the same goals. So do stay back later, and we'll be having like a session for you all like to mingle around and make friends also. Can I have teammates from other universities? Yeah, definitely. So but then at least one person from your team have to be part of the GDSC in any universities. So maybe if you are already part of the GDSC Sunway University, yeah, definitely you can find anybody from any universities. But then that person must be a university student. So he or she can't be like a high school student or an working adult. But a PhD student or master student or just a college student, everything is fine, but then has to be a university student. So are the Sunway chapter core team members joining this event as participants as well? Yeah. So can I say the names? I think should be fine, right? Okay, so me, Daniel, Marcus, and Gregory, I think they're in the call too. So we'll be joining as a team for the solution challenge also. So yeah, so if you are joining, we can also have time like to discuss about like what are our what are we going to do and what is your team going to do. So yeah, definitely go and find a team and we can always discuss about it. So pre-U students cannot be accepted. Or Marcus, can you help? I think should be can, right?
Yeah, pre-U can. High school cannot, unfortunately. But as long as it's pre-U or degree level, then it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, can I participate in the challenge if my university does not have GDSC? Yeah, you can, but then you have to find a GDS, like a university near you. So maybe you are a Taylor student, or maybe you are any university and your school doesn't have any GDSC, you can maybe join our chapter. And after joining our chapter, you can participate in the challenge. So it doesn't have to be like in maybe I'm a Sunway University student, I must join the our chapter. I can also maybe join a Monash chapter, but of course join our chapter lah. So at least you are in any chapter, that is fine already. And it doesn't have to be like 4 of you is also in the same chapter. So you can be in different chapters. So yeah, that's fine. So if your university does not have, can come and join us. So is it okay for us to have 4 pre-U students while join the club without any university students? Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, that's fine. So everybody can join. Marcus, do you have anything to add on for this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward here. So as long as you are in college or university, you can join the challenge. It doesn't matter whether you have 2 degree students or maybe even like 1 master student. As long as it's like above the high school level, then you still qualify to join now.
Yeah. Okay, if we don't have any questions, you all can still put first. So let's play a word cloud. So can you tell me how are you feeling today? Are you, since it's a Friday, are you happy because you are going to enjoy your weekend, or are you very tired right now? Did you enjoy your day? How are you feeling now? Why? You just submitted your assignments or what? For us, I think if you are a degree student and you are in your short sem, I'm sure that most of you are busy with your all of your titas or your hubungan etnik or the community service or SPR. So good luck with your assignments. Tired, yeah, I'm tired. Happy day, yeah. Finally, I can rest tomorrow. Yeah, tired with assignments. Okay, I think most of us here are degree students already. Yeah, it's really tired with all the assignments. Yeah, and I really pity our GDSC lead here, who is Marcus, who only slept okay, I don't say how many hours did he slept, but he really slept super less hours. Okay. Okay, so I would like to have a small survey to have a look at what is your interest level in all of the Google products. So can you all rate what is your interest based on what I explained just now? Maybe you are interested in maybe learning, yeah. Okay, I saw that someone, so I think this person is more into building an app. So maybe we can also have workshops based on your interest level. So because in our past event, we found out that many participants, they are quite interested in learning Flutter, but then now it's in the last, I don't know why, but in the past event, we found out that quite many participants, they are interested in learning more about Flutter. So we're actually considering having our next workshop on Flutter, but it's still in progress. So we'll still look what is the current interest among all of the students in some way. Okay, wow, Google Cloud is in the first. Okay, Google Cloud is still in the first. Okay. Firebase, yeah, Firebase is really easy for you if you want to have authentication or any login system in your app. it's really, really useful lah. I've only tried it like once only, but y'all can try it out if you are building any app, even for your assignments. So yeah, go and try it out. Okay, so I can see that number one is Google Android Firebase. Okay, let me note it down first. Okay, let's wait for more while to see what is the response. Okay, so I think there's no more already adding in, so we can see. Okay, wait, let me. Okay, one person changed, I think, his choice. Okay, Flutter went up to number 4. Okay, okay. So, okay, we will definitely discuss like what we will be moving on for our future workshops or anything that we want to have. So I think if there's no more question, we will continue on to the group photo. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask later on. But then before we go to the networking session and before I have the closing, let's have a group photo first. So let's open your camera. Come on. We have a group photo. Really thank you everyone for joining, especially on a Friday night. And I'm sure most of you just finished rushing your assignments, including me. I only had like, I think 4 hours of sleep yesterday. So I might look a bit dead now. So I will try to stay as energized as possible. So yeah, open your camera and let's have a group photo. Don't be shy. Okay, I wait for 10 more seconds, and if there's no more, then I will take the photo. Marcus, can you also help to take the photo, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, come on. Hi guys. Okay, any more? Anybody want to open camera? Yeah, 5, 4, 3. Hey, wait. Okay. Any more? Okay, I see people still opening. Come on. By the way, our GDSC Sunway University chapter will be launching our social media soon. So do stay tuned for our social media pages. But do follow the Sunway Tech Club like Instagrams first, okay? So after you follow STC Instagram, then follow us, okay? So stay tuned for our launching. Okay, any more? As I see more and more opening. Okay, we are going to fill 1 page. Okay, 3 more. Come on, let's fill up. Let's fill up 1 page. Okay, 1 more, please. Any more? Any one more? Last one, then we take. Okay, 5 more seconds. Okay, if nobody, then we click. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Marcus, I can take. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I take also. Okay, Marcus, you can sit down when you're done.
Done了.
Okay. Let me continue first. Okay, if you all want to leave your screen, your camera on, is fine. Okay, so do follow our social media. We have a Facebook, Instagram, and also a YouTube channel where we will post like our past events. So if you're interested in like watching back our past events, so do visit our YouTube, and remember to join our GDSC chapter so that you will like be constantly updated with our like future events. So we can't wait to see like when you all start to join the solution challenge, because obviously we want to like encourage more people like to join more like of these hackathons and any challenge, so that you can like implement what you have learned in school. So not only like doing assignments, joining all of this solution challenge would like definitely help you in like expanding your knowledge and also like learning more things, and especially making friends. So by forming a team like with a totally new bunch of friends, it will like widen like what you actually think and anything that you would like to learn. So Marcus, do you have anything to add on? Like, do you want to encourage them or any words of encouragement?
Sure. So I think a lot of us here might not join a hackathon before. Maybe this is like the first hackathon that you might be interested in, and hopefully we do consider you joining in. So I think one of the reasons why people are always sort of scared of joining hackathons is because they feel like they're not good enough, right? It's like there's always this sort of like mentality that, you know, oh, maybe I should wait until my third year first, only I join a hackathon, because I'm not good enough yet. Or if I join, I'll just be destroyed by the other teams who might be very pro. So actually, this is not really the case also. There's always a lot of beginners in hackathon. And it's something that you always learn along the way, right? In fact, it pushes you to learn very fast, because usually hackathons are very short time. For this hackathon, actually, it's a couple of months. Now it's only like 1 month left, I believe, but it's still plenty of time. Some hackathons, they only have like 24 hours. So it really pushes you to learn very fast and pick up skills rapidly. So try not to get into this mindset where I need to learn enough, only I can join hackathon, but rather try to have a mindset where it's more of I want to join hackathon to learn, right? So that is the more proper mindset to use this like platform or this hackathon competitions and stuff like that as a way to improve your skills. So yeah, do join as many as you can, especially if you are a first year, second year. Don't be afraid, just join any. Right? What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, maybe you didn't get to submit a project, but at the end of the day, you still tried, right? And you have learned some skills that is valuable for your career. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think it really motivated me to join. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you Ashley just now for, yeah, I hope that is clear enough, but maybe for some of the technology, even for me, I'm not so familiar, like maybe even like